Morning, morning, morning. Yes. Good morning, Roxanne, and thank you for my brooms as usual. Assign at you. Good morning, Ruben Rogers. Morning to you. Nicola McNichols, my friend. Good morning. Good morning. I trust, like myself, you would have survived the carnival. Angela Maru. Good morning. Yeah, well, my carnival season. Well, it was it was good. It was good. I mean, different from the last few years, and I really can't complain. Morning, Arlene. J Dimple 66. Morning, Cyril Mayas. Morning, Pauline Buckmeyer. Terrence Swan. Good morning to you guys. Brenda Isaac. Gerald Pascal Manswell. Morning, sir. Morning, Rockman. Natalie F. Morning, John K2. See who we have on Facebook. Morning, Diane. Claire Irish. Morning, Claire. Celestine Allen. Morning, Anton Batiste. Good morning to you. Margaret Thomas. Morning. Morning, Carol. Well, I don't need to ask the weather by you this morning, Carol. Um, Alison Boyce, Marjorie Bovell, morning to all of you guys. Yeah, that dust, Carol, is terrible. Annoying to the eyes. Patricia Lazare, morning. Dexter James, Ruth Frampton, morning. Morning, Joy. Desmond Samuel, morning, morning. 6:41. Apologies for coming on a little late, but I got a call just before 6:30, so I was dealing with that. Emmeline Harvey, morning to you. Tel Bench, morning. Daniela Williams, morning. Right, so let me just get into it one time. Just say. Terence Cummings, good morning. Leon Graves, morning. Let me also say good morning to Garth Christopher of Break Free HC. I see on his Facebook page, which to my mind is a waste of time. He's suggesting that our page and the page of UNC Cabal should be banned. Why? Why should it be banned? But just to let Garth know something, right? Not every post or every comment on the page comes from me. I've told you all before on many occasions. We have several administrators on this page who would respond, who would post stuff, who would comment at times. So do always assume that is me you're talking to, right? So, right, just let him know now. I mean, talk about a Tabanka. And this man, just like Gary Griffith, this man real tooting. So I know it seems he's one of those who was required to surrender their cojones, their testicles to Mrs. Prasad Bisasa. And it seems that she hasn't given it back to him as yet. So he spends whole day just on his page criticizing Gary Griffith and blaming Gary Griffith for bringing down the People's Partnership. And you see, this is the type of foolishness, this is the type of hypocrisy, is why nobody takes your party seriously. The party you support, Garth Christopher. Especially you supporters who love to call PNM supporters sycophants and drinking Bali's the juice and dotish and all kind of thing. But yet still, I mean, you all choose to turn a blind eye to all of the wrongdoing that happened between 2010 and 2015. At least Gary Griffith had the testicles to stand up to some of it, right, and make an effort to try and fix it. He didn't deny it, unlike what you do, God Christopher. You pretend as if no, there was no wrongdoing between 2010 to 2015. Everything was good, and any allegations of wrongdoing is just PNM mischief and PNM propaganda. And then you want us to believe that you are a sane man and support or follow anything that you say. Every time you all come to deny, and whenever we give you all hardcore proof or evidence of the wrongdoing, well, you can never admit it, right? Or speak to the issue. Instead, what you do, you try to deflect and talk about something else and go down the road, go Rowley, do this and this one, do that. Deal with the facts, deal with the issues. Because if it is the same allegations or the same evidence was made against the PNM, there would be no end of talk from you all. But even in the face of hardcore evidence, you want to continue to deny that these things happen. Something wrong with all you. Continue to say you are part of a brotherhood of wrongdoers. Let me use your own term. A brotherhood of wrongdoers, God Christopher. Right? And just remember, the upholder is worse than the thief. All of you who are suffering from cognitive dissonance, refuse to accept what it is and figure, oh, the only reason why PNM supporters don't like UNC is because of race. It's because Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is an East Indian. And I keep making the point, if that was the case, Prasad Bisesa would never have been Prime Minister. Because the same PNM sycophants that you like to talk about, who always talking about what's on race and race. If race was the issue, they would not have, the PP would have never gotten Arima and Dabadio Mera and Lopino Bonnet West and Lauket Talparo and all of these other seats. If PNM supporters used to vote on race. So whereas the People's Partnership / UNC was able to capture PNM stronghold seats in 2010, you feel the PNM could do the same thing with any UNC stronghold seats? Really? You feel the PNM could ever get Separia or Oropouche or Princestown or any of these seats? No, they couldn't. You know why? No, I don't need to tell you. There's only play stupid. You continue to play dotish, God Christopher. But our page ain't going nowhere and nobody ain't banning the page. You know why? Because we present facts, as is stated in the name. So if you vex, too bad. Maybe you should call for the banning of your own page. For the level of, if Facebook used to ban pages for hypocrisy, you wouldn't be on social media. But anyway, enough for you. So let me say congratulations to all of the carnival winners. Lost Tribe for winning Band of the Year, both NCC and Downtown. Also to Marshall Montano, the new Calypso Monarch, to Michael Teja, the Road March winner. For a period of time, it looked like touch and go, and people seemed upset about the so-called Soca Mafia. And they thought that they were going to take it from Mr. Teja and give it to Bunji, but that didn't happen. So congratulations to them. What else we had? To Nyla Blackman for winning the first intellectual Chutney Soca Monarch title. Congratulations to her. I think Rick Ramuta, I think is his name, who won the Chutney Soca Monarch. So again, to all of the carnival winners, good. Well, congratulations to them, and well done. So before I get into that, right, so I was looking at CNC3 last night on the Business Watch segment, and I noted two things. That one of the features that they carried, it spoke about yesterday being Valentine's Day. So for those of you who celebrate Valentine's Day and who would have gone out and whatever. So they interviewed two businesses. One was Texas de Brazil in Movietown, and also another business called Sugarbox in Grand Bazaar. And what was noteworthy was that both business establishments would have indicated an increase in sales this year. In fact, the Texas de Brazil manager indicated that the amount of reservations they got this year, last year was about 200, just a little over 200, and this year, over 500 reservations. And also the Sugarbox guy mentioned that while they may not have gotten much pre-orders, that the in-store business was significant, much higher than last year. And I raised the issue because, that other party would have us believe that country in a mess, nobody has no money, and everybody's suffering. And Texas de Brazil ain't cheaper. For those of you who've been there, it ain't cheap. So over 500 reservations, Mr. Derek Chin and family, well, at least for last night, would have been smiling all the way to the bank this morning. But the country in a mess, and Rowley mash up the economy, and we're suffering and all of those things. And then the very same people who were crying sufferation, who eating grass and can't afford to buy a whole chicken, they could only buy chicken foot. I am sure they were some of the most prominent customers last night at Texas de Brazil and other restaurants to celebrate Valentine's Day. So this is why we don't take you all seriously when you're talking about your suffering and all of that. When you're complaining about an increase in electricity rates, which has not come. We are in February. In fact, I visited TNTech last week to pay my bill, and I saw by the cashier they have up a big sign that says there have been no rate increases, and the billing cycle is still bi-monthly. Right? So nothing has changed. So when we were here in December, all the pontificators and so on telling us, well, the only reason why people aren't spending money for Christmas is because they're anticipating an increase in this and an increase in that in the new year, and so they're holding back money. Really? Carnival season didn't imply that. Okay. But these things they wouldn't talk about. So all of the prophecies of doom and gloom, and that Carnival was going to be, so terrible in terms of the crime and people staying away because of the crime, and the crime so terrible and all of that. We had a more or less incident-free Carnival. The leader of the opposition in her last Monday night forum, pretending, calling and pleading with the police officers to please come out and work. Don't abandon the citizens and come out. So we know what she was doing. Once the officers came out and everything was good, she could take credit for it and say it's because I called out on the officers to do their duty is why they came out. Because remember, according to Johnny Abraham, 3,000 to 4,000 officers want Mrs. Prasad Visesa back as Prime Minister. Yeah, so the 3,000 to 4,000 officers responded to her call, seemingly, and came out and worked for Carnival. Hence the reason it was more or less incident-free. But in previous years, was Gary Griffith and right. So when they were putting out their messages telling people, look, come Trinidad. Or if you're coming to Trinidad, make sure you walk with your bulletproof vest and walk with your bodyguard. When it is a cruise ship coming and it's posted, any of these news outlets post it on Facebook, when you read the comments, tell them stay on the ship. Make sure if they're coming off the ship that they have bulletproof vests and all kind of thing. Make sure they don't go here and they don't go there, because all of that, and these so-called patriots who love their country, right? Well, the tourist scheme, nevertheless, there was a cruise ship in port on Tuesday, and based on pictures and videos I've seen, they came off the ship in their numbers to participate and partake in what we had to offer, and they were in high praise of what it is that they saw. Many of the foreigners who would have been interviewed throughout the course of the week from last week, Wednesday, come forward, indicated that they felt quite safe. Quite safe. They had a very good time, and they will go back home and they will spread the news of the good time that they had in Trinidad, and hopefully they'll come back next year and bring some friends with them. But no comment from that other side. In fact, they were so concerned about crime and the impact it would have on Carnival. But I saw last night a picture of David Lee and on Carnival Monday, Juve, whining on a bam bam in Shogunas. If you see him, liking himself, but all you're concerned about crime. If that's how you all demonstrate that you're concerned about crime. On Gary Griffith's Facebook page, no commendations for the police and the other armed forces who would have participated in or played a role in keeping Carnival safe Instead, he posts up a video of himself having a good time on Synergy TV stage on Arepita Avenue on Carnival Tuesday. Yes, liking himself too. And when they interviewed him, he says, well, I'm taking a last lap because next year I will be in government. So I'd enjoy myself now. I don't know if it is he's the prime minister and he's going to call that he plans to call a general election before Carnival next year, because last I checked, Carnival, the election is due, well, earliest around August, but the prime minister has an additional 3 months after that, if it is he chooses to pull a Kamla Prasad Visesa, and take an additional 3 months. He can do that, right? So he can call the election as late as, let me see, probably around November. Yeah, but so unless Gary Griffith talking about Tobago Carnival for 2025, that because that's the only way I could see an election before Carnival. Can't be Carnival 2025 that he's talking about, that he's going to be in government. But okay, Gary the Great, if you say so. But you could at least tell time, but we know that is not in you, because for your party to be promoted and the other party that you support, well, you have to keep insisting that that things bad. Okay, we're about 57 murders so far for this year. Same period last year we are now 80. So we are behind where we were in 2023. Well behind where we were. But they wouldn't talk about those statistics. Why? Because it doesn't support the narrative. Things so bad and whatnot. Okay. So we hope that there is not an upsurge in killings now that Carnival is over, right? But then Gary said, well, it's only because it was Carnival the so-called murderers took a sabbatical. That's all right, Gary. We hear you. We hear you. So, two things I wanted to touch on this morning, right? First of all, so yes, somebody says apology and praise is not in Gary's DNA. That is so very true. Right, as you mentioned that, I'm not gonna play it, right? Because I know Wale don't like to hear him. But the dog liar, he was not to be left out. I haven't seen any videos yet of him in the savannah or anywhere else for Carnival, not knowing himself, as we saw last year in a drunken stupor, right? But he did come out on Carnival Monday, and being the bacchanalist and the propagandist that he is, decided to go around Port of Spain, I don't know if it was Woodbrook or whatever, and do his doubles and coffee to show garbage bags around the area next to light poles and stuff waiting to be collected by the garbage truck, right? So, of course, CPEP would have, and this is how these people are so dishonest. Now, this is, I think, late, around mid-morning on Monday, after you had the Juve, and CPEP would have been out there, and as soon as Juve would have finished, they would have started the work of cleaning the streets in anticipation for the parade later on in the day. So the garbage is picked up, because you know how Chinese stop playing Juve, they ain't here, they're drinking their thing, and they just throw the garbage on the ground. CPEP did a wonderful job. Congratulations to them as well. And thank you so much for your efficiency. And they put the garbage in the bags and they have it around the place. He decided, this latest rant that he on every day, PNM sucks. PNM sucks. So every morning is a video about how, coming to tell you something about how and why the PNM sucks. Garbage bags waiting to be picked up by the truck. Of course, is Juve, so the truck can't come because there would be challenges. So I suppose they had a particular time that they would come and pick up the garbage. So he decides to do a video where he goes all around to say, look at the state at this of Port of Spain, supposedly the Mecca of Carnival and so on, and people having to take pictures next to us at our garbage bags. He going from street to street to highlight that. Yeah? And that's the dishonesty in these people. But when the street was clean later on, he didn't go back to do a retake, right? Yesterday morning, after all of the bacchanal from the previous 2 days, streets of Port of Spain clean. You think he would go back and do a video to show, look, congratulations to CPEP? No. But you got an opportunity as always to be a back analyst and talking about PNM. What had to do with the PNM? The contractors, the garbage collectors have a contract with the corporation to pick up the garbage. And they would know what their collection schedule is. And obviously, the masqueraders, they are mindful of the fact that you would have masqueraders at any given time. And they would not appreciate having to wind behind a smelly garbage truck. So there's a certain cutoff time, and after that, I imagine that the trucks would have come and pick up the garbage and so on. And you have people. So of course, I commented on his thing, but I didn't comment with respect to the garbage. And you would have his supporters who would come to attack and all of that, and supporting his foolishness. As if they don't understand basic common sense to see that this man playing smart with foolishness. And that's what he doing. Because in Chaguanas, he had the same problem too. But he wouldn't go to Chaguanas and highlight, because Chaguanas is not PNM. The Chaguanas Borough Corporation is not PNM. Wouldn't go down there. He could have gone and play mass with the rest of them who was playing. Go and play mass with David Lee. David Lee find a Bam Bam in Chaguanas to wine on Monday morning. Why you didn't go with David Lee? And afterwards, highlight the same problem in Chaguanas? No, but you want to do it in Port of Spain to say that the government, this and the PNM, that and the PNM, whatever. Never to hold those who have the responsibility. The contractor has his responsibility. He getting paid for that to pick up the garbage. He knows what his schedule is. That nothing to do with the government. But as usual, I had to give my supporters something to talk about because they had nothing else of substance to talk about, right? And I didn't see nothing. His leader hasn't posted anything within recent times. So we can only assume. Let me not go there. Right? But anyway, so the so as has become the norm with respect to the results of the various carnival competitions, persons are not pleased. Well, they were pleased with the road march. At one point in time, I saw real people doing videos on Facebook cussing because they thought that the Soca Mafia was going to give the road march to Bunji and not to Michael Teja, who has been a season favorite. But so they're pleased with that one. But as is the norm, the Calypso Monarch they're not pleased with. And also the results of the Panorama. There are those who felt that first place should have gone to one band. All Stars. Okay. And with respect to the Calypso Monarch, the amount of people that say them judges, the judges need some wow. Them judges don't know what they're doing. The judges this, the judges that. Even, on talk shows, on the various radio stations and so on, they have been sharing their views with respect to that. I just want to touch on that a little bit first, right? And I know my good friend Nicola McNichols, who is on YouTube, could probably back me up on this. With respect to that. Now, the criteria for judging Calypso: lyrics, melody, rendition, presentation, and originality, right? That's the 5. Lyrics is 30 points, melody 30 points, rendition 20, presentation 10, and originality 10. So you see where the focus is in terms of the marking structure: lyrics, melody. But when I listen to the commentary of a lot of people and I read some of the comments by those who were upset with the outcome of the Calypso Monarch, people focus mainly on the lyrics. Because even before the competition, before Sunday night, there were people who were saying, yeah, well, Karina Ashley going to win in that. This one, Michael Teja winning that. Or Keelan Francis for the win and all of that. The only thing the judges judge is what they see and hear on the night of the competition. They don't judge what they heard before, right? And it's not based on, I hear this song on the radio and it's sounding good, and that is a hard hitter, so therefore that should win. Or the song is topical and it's this and it's that, and therefore that should win. There were people who were saying Gypsy should come last, even before the competition, because the chorus of the song, Your Mother Can't, and what it implies, double entendre and so on, people were saying he should come last. But if that is the view, then you can't be a judge. Because you're bringing your personal biases and idiosyncrasies and nuances into the judging exercise. You are supposed to judge what you see and hear on the night. Nothing you heard before counts. Because you could hear you probably went to the tent and the person performed and the song real good. And they say, yeah, that's the winner. But on the night, they were not on their best game. And therefore, that is what the judges have to judge. Let me say this, judging calypso is a very difficult thing. It is a very fast-paced, high-pressure thing. And only when you had the opportunity to sit in that chair as a judge, you could really understand the challenges. And so, as someone who has actually judged the calypso competition for the match, right, I could tell you, to me, I used to be on the other side at one time, saying them judges don't know what it is they're doing and all of that and all those things. But then having had the experience to see what it involves, you have a different perspective. So, first of all, there are certain rules. So let me just say this, right? There is no collusion between the judges. One of the rules is that judges are not allowed to speak to each other during the course of the competition. So you don't look left, you don't look right, you're just supposed to look forward. There is no waiting, boy. That was good. No collusion at all. So judges don't speak. So none of the judges know what mark the other judge put. Unless when they're picking up the score sheets and it probably passes in front of you and you probably catch a glimpse of somebody else's score sheet. Otherwise, you don't know what score anybody puts. That's one of the rules. Another one of the rules is you're not supposed to score the person until the performance is complete. So you sit there, you listen, you know what you're looking for, because when there's a training session, we are trained with respect to all of the criteria and how you interpret the criteria. So the things that the average citizen would listen for is not the same things that we listen for. We listen for a lot more than that. Well, I keep saying we, but the judges would listen for a lot more than that. In the training session, so they will go through all of the different criteria and explain to you, this is what this means, this is what that means, this is what you look for. You have your scoring grid. If you think this is a fair performance, a good performance, if you think it's excellent, impressive, outstanding, there's a certain range of marks that you would put for the different criteria, right? So there's no collusion. You're not supposed to score while the performance. You're supposed to give the competitor your undivided attention. Once the performance is complete and the competitor starts to leave the stage, then you can put on your marks. You have about 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes to do that. To write down your scores, put your comments, submit your score sheet, right? As soon as the performance finished, like 30 seconds later, the corner of your eye, you see the official appear coming to collect score sheets to do whatever it is that they have to do. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Now, one of the things I would have suggested persons do, I forgot to mention it on Sunday, that you all should have done the judging for yourself. So write on the 5 criteria at the top of a blank piece of paper, and decide, write down all of the competitors, and you do your own scoring. And try and see if you could score, if you could work in that environment. And it really requires a level of experience to be able to do that. Huh? So for instance, okay, most people focusing on the lyrics. That song hard hitting by Mr. Shaq. He put some licks on Kamla and so on and whatnot. And that's the type of song that a lot of people look forward to, because we've gotten accustomed to that. Okay, so you would give points based on lyrics. But what do you look for under melody? And again, I see now that we break it down, most people wouldn't focus on that. It's just the lyrics. What under rendition, what score would you put? So if you had to score Machel, if you had to go on YouTube and pull up Machel's performance, I'm not. Well, let me just say, right? I wouldn't say who I was supporting, but anyway, so you can assume. But if you were to go on YouTube and decide, well, let me try and do my own judging and just pick any 5. You don't have to do all 12. Just pick 5. Let's write down your scores, write down the criteria, right? And you score them for yourself and see what mark would you have given Machel for rendition? What mark would you have given Machel for melody? I see some people are saying under originality, he should have get 0 because he borrowed lines from other people's calypso to make up his song. Originality is not just doesn't simply refer to the lyrics alone, right? And even where you may borrow lyrics from somebody else's calypso, it doesn't necessarily mean that that would impact on your originality from the perspective of, well, the lyrics wasn't original. Originality would also encompass how was it used. Is this person paying tribute to somebody and therefore it makes sense to reference a line or two from that person's song? So it's not just, yeah, well, give them 0 for that. No. Under presentation, there are a number of things that the judges look for. Yes, you come out with your props on stage and so on, but do these props make sense? Can I look at these props from the outset and have some level of idea as to, okay, what the song is about? Do the lyrics, do these props support the lyrics? Or is it just something that, because some people feel they need to crowd up the stage with a whole set of things and whatnot. Relevance is important, right? Under rendition, so it would incorporate certain aspects of presentation as well. So, for instance, okay, you're singing, I don't want to reference Marshall thing, but only because there are a lot of people who are upset, who feel that it's because it's Marshall, that is why he win. And that was a foregone conclusion that Marshall was going to win. But again, and I'm making the point, when you look at all of the criteria and you interpret the criteria and you apply it to the performances, then it's a totally different, horse of a different color, as they say, right? So coming back to the issue of the scores, when each judge puts their score, nobody sees anybody else's. So it's just your individual score. You apply your learning, your understanding of the criteria, and the impact that the performance would have had on you. We are also advised not to be influenced by crowd response, because we know that there are some competitors who rent a crowd, who come with the audience to make a certain noise. Oh, yeah, that's some real good boy. Mm-hmm. So we are not unduly influenced by these things here. So when the scores go up, the score sheets are picked up and it goes to the folks doing the tabulation. The judges have we have no say after that, right? We submit what? Scores are tabulated, right? And everybody. So this feeling that, yeah, they could gerrymander the scores. No. At the end of the competition, there's a master sheet that is presented and all judges have to sign, confirming, verifying that these are the marks that you put down. Yeah, that's the only time where each judge will actually be able to see the individual scores for each competitor of all the judges. And we have to sign, all the judges have to sign the sheet stating, yes, these are the scores that I put down. Right. You also advise, if it is that during the course of scoring, you want to change your mark, you draw a line through the previous mark and you initial. But if you have the time and you could do a whole new score sheet to avoid the bacchanal, do that. Competitors also have the facility, if they want to go into Tuco and see their score sheets, they could do that. They could review it. The judges are advised to write comments to support your mark. So if you give a man 50, please put comments to explain to him why you gave him 50. What criteria you felt he fell down in. So one is to justify your mark, because competitors like to sue, right? So when they come in, they can say, well, okay, this judge gave me 50, and this is why they gave me 50, because they said maybe my lyrics wasn't whatever. Whatever is the reason. So they have access to the score sheet. They can work with the calculators, and they could calculate this. Well, okay, judge number 1 give me 60, judge number 2 give me 75, and they could add up and see. So the final score that would have been announced, if there was any gerrymandering, it wouldn't line up with the score sheets. So there are foolproof things in place to prevent any kind of backroom thing because you favor somebody. And during the training process, they bring in different people who have skills in different things to be able to help us better interpret the criteria. So they would have brought in, I recall, I think it's a psychologist, to talk to the judges about personal biases, that there may be a competitor that you like, and the person performing. How do you treat with that bias so that you judge what you see, regardless, even if on the night the person is not of their very best, not because that is your you like this person, this competitor, that you're going to give them high marks nonetheless. And I mean, judges are also mindful of these things. So you must know if somebody off the game, you're not going to give them a high mark because you like them. Because these things are looked at. Right? So Tupo looks at these things to see, okay, how are these judges judging? So if you have the majority of the judges given a score around this range, but this particular judge gave this high mark, yeah, you're under the microscope. So, and even when they have to pick the judges aren't aware, those who judge for the Mashka, you wouldn't find out until maybe 2 days before the competition that you have been selected to judge. So there is no possibility to reduce the possibility of anybody looking to go to a competitor and say, hey, what nice a judge. Give me a little something and I could give you. No. So when I read the comments and see the amount of licks that people put in on the judges, really and truly, it is not to me warranted. Right? Sometimes I wanna play something for you, right? And when I hear people talking about the lyrics, and the lyrics had to be hard hitting and it should be topical, and people like to hear things about Kamla gets some blows, Gary gets some blows, and all that. I think it was in 2007 that Krokro won the Monarch with Nobody Ain't Gonna Know Again, where he sang about the experiences that people have when you go in abroad. Everybody wants you to carry this and carry that. And when you're coming back, it's the same thing. They want you to bring back a whole set of stuff according to Krokro, like if you're TNT shipping or Lapacan. You know that's a true story. You want to carry Bennett ball, tamarind ball, pepper sauce, all kind of things. Now that calypso was humorous, right? But the thing is, Krokro doesn't really record his songs. So unless you went to the tent or perhaps you went to Skinner Park or you would have viewed it on television, that song wouldn't have gotten much. You wouldn't have heard it much outside of those platforms. But yet still, it was a crowd favorite. And Krokro was able to win with that, and it had nothing to do with the politics and all of that. When Dennis Plummer sang Now Leaving, it had nothing to do with the politics and stuff, but it was a song that resonated. In fact, last year in the Mashkara, the majority of the songs were nation building songs. Now I know some people weren't pleased last year with again with the results they eyed up. But I just want to play something here for you, right? Just to give you an idea as to some of the things. Let me just get this. So turn this off. Right. Just give me 1 second. Right.
The Mashkara, Tila Baladaite, Rambadaite, I'm here to celebrate this Twin Island set with a glorious chant worthy of all our praises. You toil and you toil, take care of we while drilling oil. Also teaching we to put some seeds in this soil. You took we from the horrors on the plantation. They tell we with confidence that we could build we own nation. They say things are going to be hard, you know, and we are going to make it just so. But through hard work and dedication, we are all going to benefit. If the vision we all embrace it, with each one helping another one. So let we all stand up for this nation. Let we stand up in tribulation. Hooray, hooray. Come let we sing hallelujah. We are persevered, look we made it. Even in times when they say we would quit. Hooray, hooray. Come let we sing hallelujah. So I say if you love your country, then show it. If you are proud, stand up and let them know it. Hallelujah. I say you are so worthy. Blessings almighty from him they will start to pour. TNT, we love you forevermore. TNT, can you greater now than before? Silabala thy day, Ramba thy day, thy day. You I congratulate, for you always demonstrate your strength, courage, and dignity.
So that was Desire O'Connor, last year's winner, right? So I played that specifically because there were certain things that would have impressed judges. So, for instance, you will realize that at the start of the song, well, first two lines, on the melody I'm talking about here, where he would have utilized the falsetto. So his voice went up in a high note, which kind of enhanced the performance. And these are the little nuances that judges would look for. Is that appropriate? Yes, and he understands that, and that is why he would have put that into the song. Now, if you go back on YouTube and you look at Desir's performance last year as compared to this year, and you would see this year there was just something, it's a little something that was off. I mean, he just didn't seem to be as involved or enthused by his performance as he was last year. So even if you look at his body language and so on, I mean, last year on the stage, he was into it. Maybe, I don't know if it was perhaps because it was his first time performing and so on. And this is oftentimes why you would see sometimes the person who won the year before, it's difficult for them to defend the crown, right? But when we talk about melody, it's not just, some people will say, well, okay, what does melody involve? So it's not just the music playing, the accompaniment. We look for vocal melody as well. Is it in sync or in step with the music? The other things, as I mentioned, there are things like the falsetto and so on. Or is the person monotone? So this is a beautiful melody, but the person just singing in one tone. There is no variation, no curls, no nothing. They just flat vocally. Okay, yeah, the lyrics good, but I mean that there are things you could do with your melody and you're not embracing it. So these little things that the judges listen for as well. For instance, one of the competitions that I judged this year was the Combined Forces Calypso competition. It was the police, army, fire, prisons, all of them. Right? And there was one competitor, police officer. She sang a chutney, but at the event, she didn't the person, her music, her background music, it didn't reach in time. So she had to sing the song a cappella. But in hearing her singing, you were able to pick up that typical chutney melody, which she did very well, right? Even though it was a cappella. So vocal melody was good. So if on a score about a 30, let's say, well, all right, you could split it into 15 points for vocal melody and maybe 15 points for the, right? Because remember, they would have had some hand with respect to the choice of the melody, right? Is this a melody that is appropriate for this song? Yes. So these little things you listen for, you look for. For instance, sometimes lyrics and melody, is it matching? They choose a melody, some people, but the construct of some of the lines is too many words. So they're trying the lyrics and the melody fighting with each other something. Again, so it's, maybe you could do something there. Again, sometimes with the lyrics, it's singing good for the most part. But there may be times where competitors use words that doesn't fit in the song. And they just use a word because they want it to rhyme. So Crazy has a song, Soca Paran, he sang the tribute to Tito Lara, where if you listen to it, where he used the word connive. And that was not appropriate, where it didn't fit, but it was used seemingly to rhyme. So all these little things judges have to be aware of, right? That line, that would really fit inside there, right? you need to be on your A game on the night. So whereas people would have heard this song before and may be willing to overlook some of these little things. These are the little things that could make the difference between the winner and the second place person, where sometimes the point differential might be 2 or 3 or 4 points. A small margin. But you have to take, don't try to pull a fast one on persons. Because you have judges who are trained in music and they look at, well, grammar, you have English teacher. We have a wide range of the judges have a wide range of professions, right? So the little things that you may think you could pull a fast one and get away with, they are listening. Remember, they are focused on this performance and they know, having been trained in the interpretation of the criteria. All of the wider public that is not a judge, not judges, wouldn't pick up. Sometimes you're listening to this thing and they use the mic. So you on TV, you all might be hearing a certain thing, right? The mic right up in the mouth. Some of the words muffled. So as a judge, you sit down, so, and they're trying to hear, what did he say? What was that? All these things that people don't see and don't hear, because what you hear on TV might be different to what the judges may hear sitting right there. So just to put it into context, to let people know that it's more than just lyrics that the judges look for, right? Nyla Blackman won the intellectual Chutney Soca Monarch, and I heard people say, well, Machel should I get 0 for originality because he borrowed lines. But from what I read, Nyla would have used in her chutney some verses or lines or whatever it is from her grandfather's Om Shanti Om. So, and she still win. She came first. So people who felt Mikal Teja should have won on Sunday night. But again, judges need to be impartial. Even if it is that you like the person, you judge what you see and what you hear on the night. Interestingly, the Mashkra comprised of Calypso and Mass. I heard little to no commentary on the Mass aspect of the show. So everybody was focused on the Calypso, and why? In large measure because Marshall was there. And they wanted to see plenty of people who don't even watch the Mashkra tuned in because they wanted to see the judges would have give Marshall first place. So Marshall get first place, people vex. He say he coming back next year to defend his crown, and he's telling all of the other competitors, bring your A game and come. Okay, bring your A game. So we will see what will happen next year. But just to say, I mean, we had to look at the future of Calypso, right? But how many people went to the Junior Calypso Monarch finals? Last year I judged that. When you look in the stands, the only people you saw in the stand was students from the schools of the participants, teachers, and maybe the parents, some of the parents of the students. But that was it. In terms of wider participation from the general public, little to none whatsoever to give encouragement to these young people. And some of the calypsos that these guys sang, let me tell you, will blow your mind. But there is no tent to go to hear them. So the only place you will hear them is if it is that you go to the preliminary semifinals or the finals. But well crafted, I mean, beautiful calypsos. They could give some of the seniors a run for their money. Really, really, really good calypsos. But who will not listen to it? It's only when, perchance, these young people decide that they want to take it further and they end up in a tent, and then they hear them, who is this person? I never hear about he, I never hear about she. But they're singing for years in the juniors, but because we don't focus on that aspect of it to give the young people encouragement there, so some of them fall by the wayside who have the potential to be excellent calypsonians to keep the craft alive. But there is no real support for that. We're only interested in going to the tents, and maybe, I don't know what Tuco could do or whoever could do to be able to give more exposure to these young people. But I can tell you, they have yeah, whether it is that persons write the calypso for them, some of them write it for themselves, but even in terms of the performance, that's another thing that the judges look for as well. Stage, use of stage. You have a good song that could carry you all over the place, but you come and you stand up in front of the microphone and you may move. Right? The only movement, your hand moves so and your hand moves so, but you have a whole stage and you just focused. There is no attempt to engage with your audience. All of these are the little things that form part of rendition. How you use your stage. We look for things like diction, right? How the person, all these little things, these little nuances that the average citizen who's not a judge would not look for and can't understand how it is this person win and how it is that one win. Because it's more than just lyrics. More than just lyrics. It's an entire production, entire performance. If it is that you're singing like a lamentation song, like what Singing Sandra used to sing, we want to know the key or the chord that is used. Normally it would be in a minor chord because it's supposed to be something somber. You're not going to have this upbeat kind of melody, right? So you expect it to be in a minor chord. Things like that. All of these are little things that you have to look for. So maybe to could offer a workshop to, for persons who are interested to come and learn the interpretation of the criteria and so on. So, or perhaps you could have a program, I don't know, something, so that the public is better aware of what it is that the judge is looking for beyond just the lyrics. Song might be great, it's songing good, it's well put together, but you had to be able to pick up Mr. Shaq sang the same verse twice. The song was otherwise. You come on stage. Remember, we judges performing judging presentation, but you have no props, you have no backup. So it's only you and you alone on the stage, you and the backup singers, but that's it. So Gypsy did that. The camp came out. He had no props or anything like that. But again, there were people who, if you listen to Gypsy's Calypso, for the most part, the lyrics are sound, right? But persons took issue with the chorus. Your mother can't, your mother can't, your mother can't believe. And people felt offended by that. It was offensive. But the reality is, if you really listen to the lyrics, the body of the song, and what it is, the message that is being conveyed, most people would agree that if you knew somebody like the person Gypsy was describing in that Calypso, personally, treating their mother like that, mother can't would be the least of the words you would use to describe or to ascribe to that person. If you don't have somebody, this person, mother work hard to take care of them, and guys, how you treating your mother? Really? By the things all would want to tell that person. Here's a so and so, and a so and so. Bye. People felt it was inappropriate for a competition of that caliber, and were calling for Gypsy to be placed last because of the chorus, and we didn't focus on the rest, the verses, and the substance of the message that was being presented. Right? So just because they hear the mother card, they turn up. I want to hear Gypsy. I see people put in the comments, well, when Gypsy come on, I mute the TV. I walk away. I went to the bathroom because I didn't want to hear that. But then you can't be a judge. If that's your position, because you are coming in, you are judging based on your own personal biases, your own personal nuances, idiosyncrasies, which you can't do as a judge. You need to be dispassionate. Even if you feel how, you're judging the man Calypso on what it is, the substance of it. You have to listen to everything. And therefore, is this chorus warranted based on the lyrics? And listening to the lyrics and you imagining, because these are the things you, as a judge, you need to feel like you're a part of the performance. And if it is, I know somebody, and I know people like that too, who are grateful to their mother. And I know the mother worked hard to take care of them. And this is how you treat your mother. I tell the person, you're real lucky. At least you still have your mother, right? And based on the things, the way that I've seen your mother raise you and the things that your mother has done for you, you don't understand how lucky you are. For those of us who no longer have our mothers, we would do anything to have to be in your position where you are. And you don't appreciate your mother, but the day will come when she will no longer be there. And then you will understand. And you see all the nasty things that you did to her and all the hurtful things that you said to her because in your fit or rage or anger, you will come to regret that for the rest of your life. Yeah? And I said, I know people personally that always tell that, how you could talk to him? I could have never talked to my mother so. Never. And even if I was vexed with my mother, no way in hell I talking to my mother like that. Some of the things you tell you, something wrong with you. You crazy. I wish I was in your position to still have my mother. So the amount of things you would want to tell that person, as I said, mother can't is the least of the things. So again, it's to listen to the entire thing, not just because Gypsy come with that. Where you going with that? What Gypsy doing there? Well, the rules don't debar him from from participating in the competition. The PRO of Tuco, Rondell Donovan, he was also performing in the tent, and he too was hoping to get a nod um, for Skinner Park, and he didn't. Twiggy, I think, who is also a part of Tuco, she too participated in the competition. So while we would beat up on Gypsy because he's the NCC chairman, it's more of a moral thing as opposed to regulatory. There is nothing in the rules that says if you are an administrator that you can't participate in the competition unless and until Tuco sees it fit. Because if they put that in place, it means that it applies to not just NCC, but Tuco as well. And Tuco's administration is primarily Calypsonians. So are they going to put in rules that would debar them from participating in competition? Whereas up to them, right? But there's no rules that prevents Gypsy from. So people who were upset about it and felt, well, he is the NCC chairman. Because we know how the judging process works, there is no way that Gypsy could influence the judging process. None. So on the night when they had extempo and so on, okay, I don't think for the semis and so on that Gypsy might have gotten the highest score. So again, it's how you perform on the night. Sparrow at one time was ruling the roost with respect to Calypso, but then he too was dethroned. So I just thought I would throw that in the mix, to give you all a better understanding of the whole judging process. So in terms of collusion, as I mentioned before, it's individual scores. So you have the 5 judges and the alternate, as the case may be. So when these scores go up, it's your individual mark. Nobody comes to tell you, hey, give this one an ad mark and get that one an ad mark. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, when the scores are tallied at the end of the day, this is what it is. This is what the judges were looking for. This person had it, this person didn't. This person brought the A game on the night. Yeah. So Nicola says Sparrow was a master of double entendre. Indeed. You know, and as she mentioned that, right? I recall there was a discussion when there were practical 3 performances to judge. So there were 2 videos, one with Sparrow, one with Singing Sandra. I can't remember if the other one was Brother Valentino, but there were 2 videos, and the other one was just a recording of a song. And so the judges had to judge these 3 performances. And the song was Sparrow sang Madness, Singing Sandra, War, and I really can't remember what the other one, right? Merchant, thank you so much, Nicola, Merchant, right? And there were everybody had to judge, so there were maybe about 9 or 10 tables, comprising of about 5 judges on each table. And at the end of the exercise, each table had to send up a representative to give their scores and their pleasings. And every table had Singing Sandra first, Sparrow second, and Merchant third. Merchant came third because it was the only thing that was on the screen was a picture of one of those long-time vinyl recordings, right? But the song was clear and we heard it, but we could only judge based on lyrics and melody. There was no rendition. We couldn't judge anything for presentation because there was none. Singing Sandra. So whereas Sparrow, in his performance, when he came out on the stage, it was just Sparrow. There was no props. There was nothing. It was just him and the backup singers. And Singing Sandra came out in her army fatigue, and she had her props on stage representing war and all of these different things. Hence the reason the judges would have put her first. I'm not going to call the Calypsonian's name, but when he came up afterwards to give a few words, share some thoughts, and I recall he was most upset that the judges could put Singing Sandra first because Sparrow is this and Sparrow that and Sparrow and Sparrow and Sparrow. Okay, Sparrow may be all of these things, but we judge what we just saw, what we just heard, right? And based on what we just saw and what we just heard, Singing Sandra was better. Right? It may not have been the same night, but Singing Sandra was better because we were able to judge her She had props, she had presentation, the full works. She came out and did what it is she had to do. Sparrow came out, sing his song, and he gave you the quintessential Sparrow whine, and he shake his waist and whatnot, shaky babalam, and yeah, we were not impressed. Right? Because the criteria that we have to use to judge, and based on all 5 singing Sandra Gardiner. But Mr. Calypsonian wasn't pleased at all. Okay. That's why we are the judges. So there was, so Trevor says, isn't Gypsy as a talented tune entitled to perform? He brings prestige to any competition. Yes, Pearl Dowland says, what about Zandoli? He was a master of smut. There you go. There you go. You know, it is what it is now. Persons take issue with certain things, and I just want to encourage you guys. If you have the time, I'm sure the Master is available on YouTube. You could go back and play it, the Calypso portion of it, and you do your own judging based on the criteria that I just gave you. Lyrics 30 points, melody 30 points, rendition 20 points, presentation 10, and originality 10. Right? You could pick pick 3 or 4 of them, and you do your own judging. And don't just judge. Write comments. Right? A few lines. And try and do that in 2.5 minutes. Try and do that in 2.5 minutes. Right, so Roxanne is asking if I'm saying that props is a major contribution to it. The younger ones might not have the money to do props. So true, Roxanne. So I'm not saying that you need to necessarily to have the props, but it could enhance the performance, and that is why they do it. And I appreciate. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything extremely elaborate. But remember, under presentation, there are certain things. But maybe that's why presentation just accounts for 10 points, right? So as the most you could get. And if your melody could be on point and your lyrics could be on point, and therefore you could still win the competition, of course, because I can't really recall. I suppose maybe there were times when Sparrow would have won the competition and he didn't have. But props could be a little bit, could be overdue as well. Some people just, it's too much. How much is too much, how much is enough? But it helps to enhance your performance. I agree. It doesn't have to be anything, as I said, elaborate. You could just bring some of your friends on, dressed in something to portray the message, because I think with Karina, with poverty is no excuse for crime. If you could get somebody, she brought on Kareem Marcel, which I think was commendable. And Kareem, to me, embodies what Kareem was singing. Poverty is no excuse for crime. For those of us who know Kareem's backstory, coming from Betham and so on, and he would have been able to rise above these challenges when you hear him tell about the struggles of his mom, Shuma, and the challenges that she would have had in raising them and all of these different things. He's told it on numerous occasions. And he didn't fall in with the crowd. He made up his mind that he wanted to come out of that, and he rose above it, and today he's an attorney. Now, there are persons who have issues with Karina Ashe's song, who feel that it is tone deaf to the realities in these particular communities. But again, as I told you all on Sunday, I think it was, we're talking about excuse versus cause. Nobody is saying that poverty doesn't cause crime, because there are some people who may not have the mental fortitude to rise above it. There are persons who insist they're not going. Case in point, you have some people, the fellows who be linemen on the block. They have, as we say in local parlance, they work nowhere and draw no pay. Right? There are jobs available. But hear what they're telling you. Somebody might tell them, boy, the factory taking workers. I ain't going to work in a factory for no dog money. That's small money. And we working hard 8 hours for small money. And then them supervisor and all of them up inside is want to play the talking to you anyhow. Nah, me what that. But they have opportunities, right? They ain't want the dog money. But at the end of the week or the fortnight, when the neighbor who working in the factory for the same dog money that they don't want, when they see them, oh dog, oh my lion, bless your brother with something, let me drink something now, let me wet my throat now. I'm gonna wet my throat. Let's see. Yeah. But you don't want to go and do the work. So they went and worked the breakback work for the 8 hours and take whatever abuse you say it again from the supervisor and whatnot, so that they could pay their bills and improve themselves. You don't want that work. But you want them to get a 20 so you could buy a moccasin or you could smoke a cigarette. Yeah? And then when it is you ain't getting that now, somebody come and whisper in here, well, let me go soon now. You make a turn now. And you go to rob somebody. What's the excuse? It is not an excuse. There can never be any excuse for that, because there are always opportunities out there for, even if you don't want to go and work for anybody, you could work for yourself. One not trade. How many tradesmen we have who didn't have any formal schooling and so on, but they learned. All right, so they went and they used to work on construction and they learned points of construction, and today they are contractors. Today they could offer their services to help to build a house or to add on something somebody have. You know, the neighborhood contractor, not the big contractor, the neighborhood contractor. There are opportunities now that the government has with this program where they're building 600 houses for the low income families and so on. If you could go out and apply to get a couple of these houses because you have the skill. And because the government is telling the persons who are the beneficiaries, you all commit to sweat equity, get your friends, your family, and so on. The more people you get to help for free is the better the house you could get, because the money that would go to pay labor could now go into enhancing the home. But you have these skills. But there are people who just don't want to work. If it is that you could sell some weed and make a money, why you had to go and break your back for 8 hours for the day, as the case may be, when you could other things that you could do, you could still lime on the block, make our money. But so it can cause crime. Yes, poverty can cause, but it is no excuse, because no judge is going to accept poverty is the reason why you did what you did. The judge will always tell you there are other things that you could have done, legal things, right? But there was one other thing I wanted to touch on. Respect this pariah issue, right? DPP meeting. The Oilfield Workers Trade Union president and families of the divers involved in the 2022 Pariah Fuel Trading Company Limited incident feel comforted after they met with DPP Roger Gaspard on Friday. Branch President Christopher Jackman told Tuesday and Saturday they visited Gaspard's office in Port of Spain on Friday to deliver a letter requesting consistent communication on his progress into recommendations of the Jerome Lynch Commission of Inquiry into the incident and clarification on the way forward with the matter. So they delivered a letter requesting consistent communication. So at all steps along the way, they want the DPP to keep them informed of what is happening. You all know any other case that is before the DPP where the DPP provides consistent communication on the progress of into the investigation? But these people felt it that they could do this letter and go to the DPP and say, here, what now? We want you to keep us appraised at every step of the way. So if at any point in time you do anything that we don't like, we could protest. But they had this part, right? On arrival, he said the DPP invited 4 representatives to meet directly with him to resolve any concerns face to face. They went to deliver a letter to the DPP, but the DPP felt it appropriate to invite 4 representatives to come. So it's not, they didn't ask to meet the DPP. No. They said, we come to drop over a letter here for the DPP. The DPP said, tell 4 of them come. DPP found that it was wise to tell 4 of them, all they come on. This is what I'm reading here, right? Jackman, a family member, a member of the First Wave movement, Omar Abdullah, and another member of the OWTU attended the meeting. This is the first time, and this is the quoting, I think, Jackman here. This is the first time that we've seen a member of public office actually come out and have a consultation with respect to us, the families, to make sure that we understand what is taking place. And for all the time we've done it at Heritage, all the appeals we've made to the government, we received no action so far. But we have to commend him for that and that alone. I can tell you the family members were quite comforted by the way he dealt with them on that particular day. He said the DPP explained his remit in the matter and the role the Commission of Inquiry's report will play in any substantive legal matter that may arise. And one of the major findings of the report is that Paria was negligent and should be charged with corporate manslaughter. The same report that also found LMCS negligent and recommended that LMCS be prosecuted. While the DPP is yet to make an affirmative position on this recommendation, Jackman said Gaspard said such charges will not go to individuals, but rather the company. We were all very much disappointed by the conclusion he made with respect to the charge being applied to Paria and not directed towards individuals, because from what we see, if Paria is charged, it is the taxpayer who will be held liable to fund any fee or payment that has to be made. And the way the current government is moving, I could see the company being charged and still not removing the people in charge. Because they seem to be adamant not to remove them under no circumstances, even if they were proven guilty of wrongdoing, which we are seeing in the Commission of Inquiry report. He said the DPP also assured the union he would keep in communication with them as he moves forward with his work now that the report is in his hands. He gave the union the assurance that he would keep in communication with them. How is he going to do that? Is he going to pick up the phone and call? Is he going to be sending written correspondence, email to them with respect to this matter? As if there is only one party to this matter, which is the families. So what Paria? Paria is not entitled to, as being named in the report, they too are not entitled to any communication from the DPP as he moves forward with his work. So is it that the head of Paria and Mr. Piper and others need to go to the DPP's office to deliver a letter so that he could invite them to come upstairs and have a chat with him too, and he could give them the same assurances? I mean, I am concerned. This is unprecedented. So then, if that be the case, then all the other matters that the DPP is investigating, is looking into, is it that if somebody commits a murder, the family members could say, well, we are concerned, we want to know, could you keep us abreast and in step with everything along the way? Could you provide us with consistent communication with respect to the police investigation into this matter? And when the file comes before you, what are your considerations and deliberations on this matter? And I'm wondering. I mean, Mr. Gaspard is not a man known to talk much, right? He doesn't normally give commentary. Very rare. You don't see him much in person. In fact, you would just see maybe pictures of him in the newspapers that they report DPP, whatever it is. But there are persons who are expressing concerns with certain things that have happened within the last year or two come forward with respect to the DPP's explanations on his decision to discontinue certain matters against Gerald Ramdeen and Ram Logan, matters with respect to the Piarco Airport inquiry, Mr. Pandey, his wife, and others. And now this latest thing. Why are you meeting with these people? They have come to speak to you. They are out in the public domain doing whatever it is. You have in the parliament the opposition jamming the government night and day about compensation and the government heartless and they wicked and they don't care about the people and all kind of thing and calling for the government to get rid of the board and all of these different things. And here it is that there is a report before you for your consideration in terms of legal charges, whatever charges. And you are meeting with one side of the issue. Persons who are affiliated with one side of the issue. The families, the union, what is this? Umar Abdullah from the just let me get it. The first wave. We've seen the first wave is anti-government. All kind of protests they're having all over the place. Umar Abdullah and Robert Amar and these guys, when they have their protests all over, people come in, UNC joining the protests with calling the President Kangaroo and all kind of thing. Why are you meeting with this man? Why? Clearly, he's anti-government. He came there with an agenda. He's not about promoting about fairness. He come in there with his anti-government sentiment, and they didn't ask to meet with you. You invited them to come and sit with you. You say, let four of them come. Let four of them come and sit down. To do what? To go out and say what? Because now you put yourself in a position where they could see what you didn't say and say the DPP tell me this because they misinterpret something that you said and what you're going to do. This DPP who doesn't talk. You're going to come and say, well, I never tell them that. They misunderstood what it is. I said, you should not put yourself in that situation in the first place. Because you're putting the government now in a stranglehold almost. Because while Paria is expecting for you to review this file or review this report from a dispassionate point of view, you have a situation now where we are seeing persons who we are seeing it is not, I mean, it boggles the mind what the DPP was thinking when he decided to invite these people to come upstairs and have a chat with him. I don't know. I really don't understand. But like I said, this does not look good. And in any other jurisdiction, persons might have expressed concerns in a different way. You know? But I bet you, and you see, this is why I make the point that that other party cannot be trusted and they should never be in government. Because, and again, maybe the government, maybe the Prime Minister don't want to give the impression that. Because if the Prime Minister were to come out now and speak on this issue and criticize the DPP for that, the opposition will jump up and go, oh, you see, they're trying to get rid of DPP Gaspard and this and that and whatnot. Same thing like they did last time. If the Prime Minister come out and talk, so he must stay quiet and the government must stay quiet, and it mustn't look like they're trying to attack the DPP because the UNC would bear down. And we will hear about that every single day. Who doing live, who they want to attack the DPP because he's an independent DPP and they find. But if it was the other way around, and you had read that officials of Paria met with the DPP, oh boy, you would not hear the end of that. They want to know why are the officials from Paria meeting with the DPP, and what did the DPP say to them, and what assurances did he give to them, and is this proper? And they would have been calling on the Law Association and whoever else, and the Judicial and Legal Service Commission to get rid of the DPP. All of that we would have heard. But it's because the factions that they support, OWTU, the families and so on who went and meet with him, they have nothing to say. They're okay with that. Kamla okay with that. Munilal okay with that. The Doglaya okay with that. All of them. Even those the Law Association, right? Everybody hush. Nobody have nothing to say about that. That is proper. That is okay. That making sense to them. So there is no uproar. No uproar. We have no issues with that because everybody in their feelings, and you know the 4 divers died and families suffering and all kind of thing, right? So they want to commiserate. So we have nothing to say. That's okay. But had it been the other way around, all of them would have had something to say. They would have been seeing letters in the newspaper editor, letters to the editor, editorials from the newspapers condemning. Had it been the other way around, all of us, everybody quiet now. No newspaper, no article. Ralph Maraje had nothing to say about that. This one, Larry Lala don't have anything to say about that. Kamla, who fancies herself, Saddam Hussein, he have nothing to say about that because no, that's okay. We have no problems with that. But even in the face of that, if Paria come now and say, well, since these folks met with the DPP and got assurances, we too would like to meet with the DPP. All hell going and break loose, right? But they're okay with that. And they're telling you, put them back in office. That is fit to serve as government again. That making sense to them, right? Okay, no problem. See why some people start to say Trinidad is not a real place? I don't know what is the thought process of the DPP, but to me, that's not making no sense. Especially, and I'm certain the DPP knows who Umar Abdullah is, right? And what. Now he can say he just requested for them to come up. He didn't know who was coming or whatever it is. You should never put yourself in that position in the first place. They came to deliver the letter, fine. Drop it at the gate. It will come up to your desk. You read it. Okay, good. Did the media contact? Yes, I received that. Problem. But anyway. Right, let's get this here. Let me put this on. Turn this off. So 1 second. 7701763. Hello, good morning. So let me get this. 1 second, Mr. Yates. Yes, sir. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. No, I am of the generation, I'm of the age group to just tell you that this is a precedent. This has never happened before. We became a republic about 48 years ago. 76, 77, somewhere around there, around that time. And we have had a number of DPPs over these many years, some of whom have become judges as a matter of fact. One of the first DPPs was a gentleman called Cleveland Brooks. One of the first. He may have been the first. And on the verge of retirement, he was promoted to the High Court. And it is not the first time that such a thing had happened. It happened with Jeffrey Henderson. It happened with Mark Mohammed. And they were promoted to the bench. And we have had others after that. But we have never had a situation where a sitting DPP has ever gone public to meet with members of the public, going on radio stations to justify, to explain why he discontinued the case with Galbraithing and Ferguson and those fellas. This has never happened before. And he has put himself in a very invidious position where he's going to attract a lot of negative criticism because, as I told you on Sunday, a DPP is not supposed to be in any public interaction with anybody. Your job is to liaise with the police, from whom you will receive information as to whether a matter is a chargeable offense or whether it should not be, or whether you should advise the police that they should go back and do further investigations and come back with a revised report to present to him for his consideration. Now, I was shocked, like you, I was shocked to watch my TV last week to see Omar Abdullah walking out of the DPP's office. You're right, this man is a man who's anti-government, this government that is. And this is a man who has been talking about ISIS and Syria and that kind of thing.
Yes.
What in God's name are you doing giving an audience to somebody like that? What are you doing? Now, this opens the door to a lot of criticism from the public.
Yes.
Of course, selected members of the public, you won't get anything from Ralph Marad and Lala and the UNC and Doglaya, the drunk one and everything else.
Yeah.
But what a genuine member of the public may be led to feel is that if, for example, just make it a personal situation, if a family has been wronged in some way, some member of the, because he deals with criminal prosecutions only. So if a family feels that I have had something to do with inflicting some kind of physical damage on a relative of theirs, okay? And the police do their investigations and they arrest me or they call me in, have interviews with me, and then pass over my name to the DPP for his deliberation and consideration. And while that is happening, as is the case now with Faria, because the lynch report has been sent to him for his deliberation, while that is happening, while my name has gone to the DPP, the family, the aggrieved family, decides that they will call the DPP's office and ask him for an audience to see if they could, in some form or other, try to influence his decision where I am concerned. So far, I am innocent.
Yes.
But the DPP has put himself in a position where he is now reachable. This is precedence. We have never, ever had this before. We have never, ever had this before. As a matter of fact, and I'll leave you with this. When Jeffrey Henderson was the DPP, he's now a judge. When he was the DPP, when allegations were swirling all over the place, that the bench Justice Sharma had summoned him to his office, raised his shirt and showed him a scar, and told him, this man saved my life. This man saved my life. Do what you could do to kill off the charges against himself and his wife. Do what you could do. And Henderson was so offended, and it went public because I read this in the papers. I'm not making up any story. Henderson as DPP, you know what he did? He went to the then president of the country, Max Richards, to complain about perceived interference by the then Chief Justice. And that is the seriousness with which a DPP should be taking his job.
Yes.
As I said on Sunday, you should try to keep yourself as cloistered as possible from any form of public influence.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I find, this is not just a first, but it's a very dangerous first, and one is left to speculate when or if another aggrieved party may ever feel impelled to call the DPP's office to have an audience with him with a view to influencing the outcome of his deliberations. And this is very frightening. A DPP was tampered with.
Yes.
Was tampered with. He was called to the Chief Justice's office. He didn't get a call. He didn't get a call from people who claimed that certain people should be charged speculatively. And then he would act on that. No, he allowed people to be interviewed by him. Members of whom are opposition members, the wife of one of the people. It's a UNC councillor. She went up in the local government election last year in one of the country areas and won. So this is politics here. And Roger Gaspard should have never allowed himself to be dragged into this imbroglio. And he has put himself in a very, very unenviable position. Thank you and good morning, sir.
Thank you, sir. But I have one question, right? If Kazim Ali Sr., principal of, let me just get this here, of LMCS was downstairs, because the DPP didn't know. The DPP didn't know who was let me just connect this. Hold on one second, Jeff. He didn't know who was downstairs. They say, boss, some people have come downstairs here to give you to drop off a letter. He say, all right, send, based on what we read already, send for them up. So if Kazim Ali Sr. was one of the men who had come in the group, and he said, well, I going upstairs too. What did the DPP was going to do? Kazim Ali, whose name is in the report, right? So you just send for them up. No screening whatsoever, so you don't know, right? But we're concerned about bulletproof, and for that reason, we didn't occupy a building for how much years? $55 million in state money went down the drain because we concerned about the safety and security of the DPP and members of his office. But you have no idea who downstairs. But send them up. Tell them come upstairs. Tell four of them come upstairs. We'll talk. Jenny, go ahead.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who looked on through just facts, stubborn things. Thank you this morning for the clarification and an in-depth look into how judging is done. I know you're close there because you yourself are a judge. So thanks for that. I want to say congratulations to all the winners of Panorama.
Yes.
I want to congratulate the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago for making this carnival successful. They behaved. I also want to thank the Commissioner of Police and the Police Service for a job well done. It was done so well that even Gary Griffith, who was going around in crime talks with Kamla Persad-Bissessar, trying to instill fear in people that Trinidad and Tobago so unsafe, lock up inside. He had a bulletproof people who don't come out. He and his wife felt so confident in the police service and the Commissioner of Police that they were out there for carnival. So that tells me something. It further tells you cannot believe and trust nothing that Gary Griffith says.
Yes.
Yeah? That is what it did to me. Yes, we have our challenges with crime. We'll never say we don't have it. However, the fear that they were trying to instill, it did not work. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, you're a serial loser. You have lost again. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have told you, even members of your own, probably supporters, would have told you, we have no confidence in you. You need to go. That doesn't augur well for her. However, this is a country where people have turned the code quick based on whatever situation and how the wind blows. I'll leave that there.
Hmm.
The two boats and that is guarding the interests of Trinidad and Tobago that was turned over in the water and drift onto the shorelines of Tobago and hit somebody for something. And I don't know if it's based on that, that oil-like substance is coming out now.
Yes.
Dr. Rowley would have sat at a table with Farley, the same Farley who told Dr. Rowley, stay out of Tobago damn business. We go run meeting, right? He had to sit on because Daddy was there to school him and he had to report to the Tobago people. I must admit, when he gave his report, it was very detailed and comprehensive. So kudos to that. We are now hearing that those two boats, well, I call them boats, of course, you know, bigger than boats.
Yes.
That was being expected in Guyana.
Yes.
And I'm just asking, seeing that it was a Guyana thing, would Guyana now be putting some money to help us now with our cleanup efforts? Because it has been going on very successfully. I'm now hearing that might be drifting to the Caribbean islands now. People are saying all kind of things and how they now start investigation and all that. I want to know if they want to put on the suit up and go down in them dark, murky, oily water to check to see what's name about and all that. If the experts are telling you because of the instability of the waters are wrong, that is very difficult for them to go down to see exactly what is the name of the boat and what's happening. The most they would have known at a point in time is that there was some type of rope or something that led them to believe that was being towed. It was being towed. Now we're hearing more information and we're getting the information out there. And I want to say kudos to all the players involved in helping to deal with this oil spill. It clearly shows that there is a guideline in how to treat with oil spills. And we hope to God we never have one out in the sea with our rigs. But I want to say congratulations again to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, the THA. Now let me reach to this matter I want to get to the DPP. The DPP should know there's something called natural justice. And if I'm being accused of something, I must be there to face my accuser. And seeing that he wasn't having a court trial, he should not have met with nobody, no interest party in the Paria's accident. Because now he's left it up for Paria to say, whatever decision he made, that he was biased against them because he met with different principles and that may have influenced his decision. So he has put himself in a position where he ought not have to not being a trained man like him. I'm very surprised. And I will end again by saying, anytime or they want to sit on with Paria or they have to sit on with LMCS, because Paria was not the employer of the four divers. LMCS was the employer. And when you go at it from a health and safety issue, and it is a health and safety issue, and it is bounded in law by the Health and Safety Act. And Section 6 of the Health and Safety Act clearly identifies the responsibility of the employer. So LMCS cannot get away from this, and you put everything on Paria. Were the workers insured in LMCS? Did they have a compensation package? Did they have any type of emergency packages, anything? And why are people not speaking about that? Because he's the one who hired them, Kazim Sr., and he's responsible for them. He get the contract from Paria, and that comes with a different type of responsibility, but not responsibility for his workers. So any talk, and they're talking, and it's only Paria that they call in to compensate, they are very disingenuous. because Paria was not the primary employer. And nobody speaking about LMCS. But there's another situation that Kazem Sr. would have gotten himself involved with, and this is recorded here. I will send it to you. We have a boat from here left to go, I think it was Grenada with some concrete slabs. It was his boat. And apparently it was not seaworthy. And that boat would have sunk. Up to this day, they can't find the captain. And I understand it is alleged when he was going up to get the boat because it had sunk, it is alleged he was advised if he do that, he wouldn't get the insurance money. It is alleged. To this day, it is alleged that boat is still in waters. The captain of that ship was never found. His family, that happened in 2018, I think it was. His family still sitting there. No compensation, no word of recovery of his body. They don't know if he died or anything. So it seems that that name, Kazem Sr., is associated with things that are not so desirable when it comes to marine and anything to do with marine life. The information is there, so me making it up, I'll send it to you. And that alone tells me that there's some type of concerted effort to keep his name out of the limelight and only to put everything in Paria. And one individual in Paria is a Newman George. And you have to ask yourself, where we going with that? So make have a blessed morning, and all those who should be locked in have a blessed morning.
Thank you, Jen. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just want to say one more thing. I thought that this DPP had been in a pulling and tugging with the Attorney General and the government over occupancy of that premises on Park Street, which previously housed the Royal Bank.
Yes.
The Royal Bank. He had a problem going there for security reasons, that you're afraid that people from East Dry River and snipers from up the hill in Laventille could shoot at you and kill you inside that office. So you're afraid? That is a security risk to go there on Park Street? But how come you allow this gentleman into your office? Into your office? This is a man who has openly spoken about ISIS and Syria and people across there and begging the government to bring them back home. Security? I am shocked. And by the way, as I close, let me just say one thing. The same Fally who has been cussing off Dr. Rowley head and shoulders for the last 2 years, the bald-haired man from down Whitehall and Berry Naval Spring and all of that. You're now confronted with your own inadequacies. You cannot handle this disaster in Tobago. You need central government and their resources. But now, even after, for photo optics, you were seen in a nice picture with Dr. Rowley and Stuart Young and Sininan and all these people who could help bring some kind of restitution to the situation in Tobago. I am to watch on the news last night where you cut off the central government again. You're telling people, you are wondering whether the owners of the boat who have some link to Guyana, whether they have desires to reopen the machine, the refinery in Trinidad. So while you're begging for Trinidad's financial help, you're back cutting off the government and Dr. Rowley again. You're playing your OWTU, UNC politics, little boy blue. Behave yourself now. Realize that you are just a child in this big game, this big chess game. You are just a child, and you have no idea. You don't have one iota of an idea that you are simply being fronted for other disgruntled people with doctorates in Tobago who feel that they should have been in Dr. Rowley's seat. So it's personal, professional envy. And they are pushing you, little boy, and you don't even know that you are being used as a sucker for Dr. Rowley's government. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, sir. Brian. Hello.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to your listeners and callers. Dominic, first of all, I'd like to expressly thank you for that explanation on judging. Because over the years, I have been a judge.
Yes.
And I have been wrong every time. Because you are right. I have a bias apparently, and I didn't recognize how deep it was, how deep-seated. You know, so when I thought that this person could win because that tune was real great and I find you performed it well and the lyrics and the words and I given him full marks, him or her, only to realize how you put him sixth. All the judge is crazy. All you mad. Look, get out of them, yes? They may know what they're doing. If I was there, I know I'd do a better job than them people. I don't know what it is them looking at. They must went by the toilet or the bathroom or went for a drink. They must be drinking on the walk. They may know what they're doing. But you see, that is how we are in Trinidad and Tobago. We are all judges when time to judge. We are all commentators. But put us before, in real life, in the seat, you could find it kind of hot. And you could tell yourself, it's there for me. I be home and relax and let somebody else come and see about this.
Yes.
But you getting paid? Yeah, but I really want our money. I good. Because that is how we are. That is in our DNA. You understand? And we could never ever get it right. I am certain at least 90%. If you ask anybody to judge that contest Sunday gone, I'm certain at least 90% of the people got it wrong. I would dare to say maybe more than 90%. Because that is how we are. We judge on favoritism, who we like, we love the tune. Look at Road March.
Yes.
They were asking people around the country, what do you like for Road March? Hey, Carnival Contract. I like DNA first, you know, but now I like Carnival Contract. And that is how we are. We judge on feelings and what we like, and not on the prescriptions before us and gauges by which we should judge. So therefore, we are all our own professionals in our seat. But in the seat that you will sit in before. I will leave that there. But I thank you very much for the explanation.
Most welcome, sir.
Dominic, Farley never ceased to amaze me. Farley is so out of his depth with this boat, this vessel, out in the open sea. And I have listened to people like Gary Aboud as usual. I was waiting for him to. And all these other people who just simply dislike, hate Dr. Rowley and have a clue what to do. They even have a boom. They're watching the boat, they're watching the vessel, and just talking out of the wrong side of the mouth. We're talking about compensation and who should. What about the money? Who will compensate we? And doesn't understand there's a process and process. You cannot go on the international circle and blame Tom, Dick, and Harry. You can't do that. You have to have empirical evidence. Because you could be taken to court for your mouth. So the Ministry of National Security indicated certain things. And Farley upset because he thought he should have been spoken to first. What is your contribution to this cleanup? What is your... Dr. Rowley was so polite with you when he said that he thanked you very much for your efforts so far and so on. But you get on your high horse and talking cover up about the refinery and politics. Where are we going with this? Why do we have to drop politics into such disasters that need a remedial hand? A hand that's all on board to fix the issue and fix the problem before it gets worse. Thank God something was being done so that the jewel of the sea could have left Trinidad and go to Tobago unencumbered. And we wouldn't have to be faced with a bill of oil residue on the bottom of that vessel. People are talking about these things. The jewel of the sea, what Mr. Cavallo spoke about it. He said, thank God that these vessels that were expected to come to Tobago did not interrupt the tourism industry. Is anybody talking about that and complimenting what the government has done thus far and all of the other supporting persons and companies and so on that came to give of their experience and so on to attempt to ensure that the oil did not do further damage to Tobago? But I have to listen to Farley and all these other pontificators who have no experience and talking all sorts of things and not allowing the process and the investigation to take form because them don't know already. And that is what is bad about this country, about these people. Wait a little bit now, help me to clean up now. The boat's still there. You don't even know how it's moving. Who's going to move it? Who's going to pay for it? You don't know anything. You have no money. You can't pay your own contractors. If you have to move the vessel, what would you do? And I have to sit and listen to you because you see, boy, look, TV boy, there's a chance for me to go and say something. And I have to read in my papers, cover up. What is it, cover up? Why is there always politics in this? But that is where we are. You understand? And it'll be difficult for some people to understand and get out of it because, you see, it makes news. It makes good news. It makes good headlines. So we wait for Farley to say something stupid. I say, boy, news. And we print it. And that's it. No investigation. No nothing. Where's Mark Bassant and all of these investigators? Where are they? But you just print it and let people read it because you know why? It sells. Dominic, finally. I call certain people, some of my former colleagues and so on. So I say, hey, how you going? Cool. I say, here now. The workers in Para, do they have union representation? No. So the oil field workers union doesn't represent them? No. So there's no union representation in Paria at this time? No. Okay. Did the workers, the divers, did they have union representation? No. Okay. Right. So Jackman, who was the former president of the Point of Fair branch of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union and others, went up to the DPP. And the DPP entertains these people. Dominic, I'll tell you this, I think this politics has gone way past being just a game. I have said it many times before, that I believe whatever was whispered in Roger's ears, he's now of like mind to do the bidding of the UNC. Nothing is going to change my mind unless I see otherwise. Why would Jackman and other union members at Omar Abdullah go fight to Port of Spain? Omar Abdullah, a man who once indicated in an interview he was he was thinking of having a cult type ISIS Jonestown in Rio Claro. This is a man who has admitted that he had allegedly sent people to ISIS to fight, families. Some of them tried to come back today because their husbands have died. Some of the children born across there. And they want the government now to do his work. Because he is spending 5 cents to try and get them back. And you entertaining these people who are directly opposed to this government, to Dr. Rowley. What does they want? What is the objective of they going up there? For what reason? To find out what? And why is Roger Gaspard entertaining this? A man who wanted I said before, he wanted a bulletproof building with walls. What it is we doing? What it is we really? What it is we there's this precedent that now has been set. So can the incident commander and representatives from Paria go and talk to him now? Can Gilbert Peterson and they go and talk to the DPP now and say, well, let us know what is happening so far? Is he going to be okay? If he says he's going to give them feedback, will he give feedback to everybody who is concerned with this matter? Or is it just going to be a certain set of people because them come by me, the others didn't come to ask for nothing? What is this step-by-step report that they want? Have the attorneys for these people just let them go and they no longer have representation? Is Dramada no longer there with them? And the Guyanese attorney? Is she no longer there? Is it just the OWTU and I know Jack Bunda, no attorney? So what is this representation from the Oilfield Workers Trade Union on behalf of the families going to the DPP for? He's a citizen just like you and I, Dominic. He's a citizen. He has no profession as far as I know. Unless he can tell me, well, Mr. You're talking to this. I am an attorney at law. I have been called to the bar. He needs to tell us. Dominic, we're going down a very dangerous road in this country where that is concerned. Because just now, because people who are before the court will be seeking to have an audience with the DPP. And what will he say then? I ain't talking to you. But then he will show that clear bias because these people have a way of liking you today and hating you and chastising you tomorrow. And we, the citizens of this country, seem to forget what happened yesterday and only remember what happened today and will comment on what happened today and forget about tomorrow. Sabin yesterday, sorry. And that is the issue I have, and that is the concern I have. So where are we going with this? It is dangerous. This is serious, serious business. This is money. This is people who are supposed to be doing certain things and certain questions are not being asked. What caused the Delta P? Who caused it? And look, Dominic, look at this boat, look at this vessel in the sea near Tobago. You know, they send down cameras first before they send down divers. Why did they do that? And that is the open sea.
Yes.
That is the open sea. And you send cameras first before you send divers. Why? Why you send the divers one time? But you want the incident commander to take a risk to send a man on a piece of rope down in a 38 diameter hole to try attempt to pull out people. And he had to go down head first because there's no maneuverability in the diameter and he has to go 60 feet down first before he goes across the seabed. Just this week, I saw on my television 2 divers going down to observe a sunken vessel. And they were told, do not spend more than a few minutes down there simply because of the pressures under the water. That it could affect you. And it actually showed the people going down. into the depths of the sea, and it wasn't as deep as 60 feet. We have to be very careful what it is we're asking for when we don't know. What marine experience do you and I have, Dominic? Outside what we may have read recently, based on this incident. What information do we have gathered that we can say, listen, but all of a sudden, no, I'm an expert. They come like judging. All of a sudden, I'm an expert. And what I say is correct and true. And this is the misleading information being perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to twist their minds in a certain direction. Nobody talking about LMCS. Nobody at all. Why? Because they have connections to the UNC? Why are they not talking about LMCS? Have the workers been paid their compensation since 2 or 3 Fridays ago? Have they been paid? And if so, how much has LMCS paid in compensation to the families? Let us know. 2 years now, and we have not heard a word. Why? But they want to talk about how much Paria will pay? And the process is still ongoing? Dominic, we have to be careful and we have to be mindful. And we have to watch this and take copious notes, which I will be doing. Because I know this is not finished. And I wait. Thank you very much, Dominic. You have a good day.
You too, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
So this not judges, how judges the old fashioned school.
Yeah.
I 89 years.
Right.
So tribute is a personal praise to somebody or something.
Yes.
And if they use men like Merchant or the Lion in the old days with that, correct? And when you come out, when you mix in what's out my children, that's in your feet. And I could hear Cristo Wala Alabimba in the call that a proper Matang. But Saigon.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Morning, sir. I am good.
Yeah, thanks for the information and education, respectively. I invite you. I know it was done sometime ago in an article, I believe, by Pete Smith, so I think it was Peter, but thanks for that nonetheless.
Yes, sir.
In spite of what you said, right, but there's also a category called the people's choice.
Yes.
And when you do that, I also members of the general public. You understand? Who would have find this interview after his appearance in the previous part of Marshall's presentation. He explained that he had won that 4 times and still didn't make the final.
Right.
And that was part of his decision to not offer himself this year. And
right.
He said, well, that was this thing. Because how you could also be the people's choice and, you didn't get him.
Yes.
My other point is the introduction of the Tobago monarch getting. And this time, he should have been to the semi-final. Becoming the monarch of Tobago, so live with the team into the semi-finals, we should have competed. And the Calypso should have been third for the first time by,
yes,
the General Public and so on. And if he was to go on, he would have been on that performance,
Right.
But they were obliged to get to the final and for the 4th place because other regional monarchs in the country could make that same argument. Well, why him and not us? We were also regional monarchs. So then I kind of dangerous road that we have gone on.
Yes.
On the other subject, I think it should be first Mr. Gaspard, because as far as our Prime Minister has now opened himself as a dangerous president. In that, let's say that he has to, from out of his series, all of the reports, including the one recommended by Commissioner Lynch, he would be unable to prosecute that matter. Right? He may have to hand it over to one of his juniors because of meeting with those people.
Correct.
Because necessarily it would have mean that you would have apparent bias would become an argument that any defense counsel could use to say, well, hey, we to start with a mistrial. They can make a motion for a mistrial, you know what I mean? Based on the fact that he would have met with the people. So that was dangerous. And then let's think about it. The man who spoke about his wife at the Fort Mega store, he may also want to meet with him. The relatives of the police officer who was killed last week, they also want to meet, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Is that dangerous? You want to spend when you hold the position that is when you're supposed to be independent and impartial. You know?
Yes.
And I think being sentimental is what might have gotten in that place, because remember, in his own life, he would have had a tragedy where his sister was murdered and so on. Right? So perhaps that might have been a consideration, but it was unfortunate. You know? So I want to, that's a question after I left last week about the driving on the right lane. And the regulation says they keep left except when overtaken.
Right.
So the people who hold the view that they're driving on the right and driving into the speed limit, they are in fact obstructing an overtaking vehicle, and that is our offense. Regardless of if those people who wish to pass through will be breaking the speed limit.
Right.
It's necessary to that to overtake another vehicle and get faster than it. Right? No, it's a matter of if they get caught while overtaking and they break the speed limit. That is a matter for the police. But you are not to drive in the right-hand side of the highway or the right-hand side of a lane and obstruct overtaken vehicles. They keep left except when overtaken, and you could be ticketed for that offense. This is obstructing an overtaken vehicle. Right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give it an explanation.
Thank you so much.
Also, when we think about the disaster of Tobago, you can go back and check your records, but in the 1970s, two ships collided off of Tobago in the northeast. And that was the biggest oil spill in world history until the Exxon Valdez in the last time, 1989. Okay? You could double check it. And that was successfully managed by international persons to be ready to become an ecological disaster in our maritime industry. It was in the 70s. You know, and I want people to go back to our history, right?
Yes.
And, you know, government's attitude towards the Paria tragedy and so on, right? In 1988, there was the Campo Mega disaster, where firemen and soldiers lost their lives when the government powder magazine exploded while they were combating a bushfire in the prison, in the vicinity of where the magazine then was. The relatives of those people who died, in fact, in some instances, they were not able to find anything of because of the magnitude of the explosion. I think they found gold fragments and so on. Right?
Right.
But because people who responded, they were able to put names to who were killed and so on. Right? Our commission was also done in that regard. Recommendations were made. The families of those public servants who lost their lives in service received no compensation.
Right.
None, nada, zilch. And I'm saying that was more egregious on the state because of the fact that those men were performing duty. They were involved in firefighting activities, right? And trying to secure the location. And they were killed. That is our history. Perhaps Pakat Ramadan, other people should go back to that and lobby for that. Because just like murders and so on, these things have no expiration date and so on. So perhaps the DPC now could go back to attach some culpability to the government, right? For having a powder magazine there in that location, and you know what happened? that was an act of nature. A bushfire took place and it got close to the magazine and the explosive material exploded. And that was under the NAR government will.
Right.
Should functionaries who are alive now be culpable, who in government then be culpable for what happened to those firemen and soldiers? I say yes, because of the fact that they were servants of civil time who were under severe restrictions. So remember, they all had 10% cut in salary, they lost their cola and so on. Right? So I don't want to feel like it's limit for people to mull over and think about it a little bit. In terms of sympathy for people and so on. And I want to leave you with this one. The work of the police and the other arms of national security was commendable. But you know, WPC lost her life, WPC Campbell, went home from duty. And it is said that before leaving, she told her colleague she just wanted to go home. She was so tired. I am sure that RPA could, because of tiredness and falling, the time she fought herself, she was then heading into the television.
Yes.
And I raise this point to say, while we commend the services and the officers for going on so good, the method of our officers perform duty has not changed since the 1940s. And there's a concentration of efforts to police San Fernando and Forestry and other large carnival centers to the detriment of the well-being of officers. And I'm saying this falls directly in the case of Mr. Dixon, and perhaps this association can have a greater input in how officers are rostered for duty. This lady was living in San Fernando, yet she had to be rostered in Port of Spain because she's attached to the academy, which is in Port of Spain. For election duty, people are rostered to go closest to where they live. Perhaps the time has come to the DPS supervisor doing the same for carnival duty. Right? And I'm saying, I'll give you some public information from my experience.
Right.
Is that when you are rostered to work for carnival duty, they feel that they have to work like a slave in order for you to get the compensatory days that you get.
Right.
So that's what you get. You don't get any, and the duty starts from the Friday before carnival all the way up. And while some people would have their official duty, many of them also do extra duties in these extra pay. How they do it, I don't know. Because I never did that when I was in school.
Right.
I'm sorry. I reserve myself for the actual carnival days, Monday and Tuesday. And then there came a time during my service when I said, you know what? I've had enough of the abuse and the wanton and caring attitude of the senior officers. And I decided to take technical over the period. Of course, within the regulations, so I could not be put on disciplinary charges, but I had sense enough to do that.
Right.
And I'm saying, it's all well and good to ask people to come out and give for national duty, but we must consider them. And it's perhaps time the gold commander who is in charge to look at having shifts of officers to man the various carnival activities for the 2 days, and also about the traffic situation on both days after the festivities have done. It makes no sense to have that concentration of officers, and then everybody goes home at the same time, and then it is just left for the Ghana Emergency Branch and IATF to do mopping up. No.
Right.
We have to, going forward in 21st century, we must have some sense of proper management, because all these senior officers go to the police leadership courses overseas, and all of them have master's degrees, which says that they have some level of leadership and managerial capability. It's time for them to display it, so that we will not have any future WPC Campbell. I end on that note, my brother. But
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Take care.
You too. Right, 8:48. I can probably take one or two more before we close off. Earl says, I mentioned before that the 4 men who were blown to bits by the explosion in a rig had families who were not compensated. Of course, and while they continue to talk about Paria and Paria.
Hello.
Morning. What's going on with the guy from Wassa? Morning.
Morning, Dom.
Morning.
If crime so bad, why guy when you wife go to the mass?
Mm-hmm.
Should have gone to vacation in the hot sun, Gary.
Yes.
You talk with your manager string by 25, but he's Savannah. Make it make sense, please. And they believe you same thing too. Crime bad. You play mass. Maybe you're going to play mass too. So if it's so bad, why do you see us play mass? You going to get killed? You had piranha, alligator, black mamba, python to protect you. Because you cannot condemn something and take part in it.
Yes.
Unless you're plenty mad. If the garbage bag was pointed out in Port of Spain, that is the UNC next home, black garbage bag. That's for Anel, that's for Kamla, that's for David, that's for Monilal. So if you had a county bags where they were sleeping, right? It was clean. If the garbage was not drained and rain for the country for not so, it's a garbage bag. If I ask you, Anel, hear this. You need to get a hobby. Get some Gorilla Glue and stitch it down, tail it, then use the glue. Because everything issue is a non-issue annual. Everywhere had that garbage was picked up. What is wrong with these people, Dominic? Why is your hate for PNM so bad? Did PNM take away somebody from you, Anel? They need a mental health check and willing. I had 2 buses, get some injections, and tow them to the madhouse. Anel makes sense. Kamla makes sense. Lee, Gary Griffith, please make sense. Because they talk, and it's not adding up. What next in this country? Why is the shit? What have PNM done to you? Is PNM perfect? No, they're not. But government is still trying. My Prime Minister still listens to reason. He will sit back and read and listen and stop and think. Comments here so bad, and the country gone through. What about the next PM? If something is bad, Dominic, I don't want.
Yes.
Because it's bad. Stop prophesying over my nation. You are prophesying gloom and doom, right? So what do you do? Say again, gloom and doom nation. So it's GND, it's not TNT, GND. If it's so bad, Kamla, pack your bag, go back and start you hang out. I'm happy to right people.
You too. Thank you so much. Final call. Brian.
Dominic, one more thing before you go.
Yes, sir.
Every time, like what you said earlier with David Lee, whining about mom for Carnival, and it's a slap in the face of our jurisprudence.
Yes.
Because if I was on $1 million bail for a crime, I would be home in my house or sitting down in a church praying. But if I could get up and go and wine Monday and Tuesday and have a good, that must be the only way you're saying.
Yes.
But what about other places where you might have been another feds and so on?
Correct.
If I could go and have a good time and say, oh, Carnival was nice. And I on $1 million bail, facing jail. And it's for we, the people, who dependent upon people like Gaspard and others, to give us justice for crimes committed against we, the people. take that, and all you could go to hell. That is what they're telling us. And them want to come back. And people going and vote for them by them laughing all the way to the back. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you so much. Never a dull moment in Sweet TNT. Folks, let me thank you all again for joining me this morning. Always a pleasure to share a few thoughts. And it was a pleasure to be able to give you some elucidation with respect to the process of judging Calypso. Maybe another time we will talk about the mass as well. But again, I encourage you all to try the exercise for yourself. Trust me, I did it on Sunday night. I had my score sheet with my names and my criteria. And while the competition was going on, just like you all were looking at it, I too was looking and I was putting my scores. And I'm proud to say that my results would have lined up somewhat. Mostly, there were one or two persons who would have come in certain positions that had I been there, wouldn't have given them, certain positions, but based on what I look for. So I would encourage you all on your free time to try to do the exercise yourself. Just pull it up on YouTube and pick a few of the performances, and you judge it for yourself. Lyrics, melody, rendition, presentation, and originality. 30, 20, 10, 10. And see what you might surprise yourself. You might really surprise yourself, because it's going to force you now to actually listen to the lyrics more in depth and pick up any grammatical issues, grammatical errors, and you might listen and say, that man really sung in monotone, no variation in the voice and the melody. And you may very well surprise yourself with the result. Yeah, you might say, well, I understand now. So if you have the free time, do it. So enjoy your day, may it be a productive one, and God's willing, we will chat again on Sunday morning. Let's see what transpires between now and then. Never a dull moment, as I said, in Sweet TNT, but we will monitor the Facebook pages of those folks to see what they have to say, and let's monitor what's happening in Tobago. I must admit I wasn't aware of all this situation, these issues with Fali. I wasn't following on that, so I will look into that perhaps today or tomorrow, see what's going on with him. I really find he was quiet for too long. Yeah, but we will see how that goes. So to all of you folks on Facebook, YouTube, thank you so much. And we will chat again on Sunday, God's willing. Have a good day too, Sarah, Arthur, Roxanne, Deish, Patricia McKenzie, Adarami X, all of you guys. Bye, Denise, Jocelyn.